We're doing other things. We're building other things. I have things to sell. And my job is not really building data products. This is my first problem, right? And my second problem is this. I'm not sure if my company should be building data products or even we can do it. And my answer to that is that first, I agree, right? None of us are really in the business of building just a competitor to OpenAI. And probably we shouldn't even do it. Maybe the time has already passed, right? It's a little bit like, should I be investing in crypto now? Maybe. Maybe not. So maybe we're not in the business to compete with OpenAI, or maybe not even building the next big data product for tomorrow. That's not our job as well, right? So in our case, WeFox was built in, we started in the late 2015. So we are a 7-year-old company. We're pretty happy with where we are, although we are still very small, right? So we grew pretty much very well, doubled, sometimes tripled our revenues every year to become $600 million in terms of euros, in terms of revenue, 200 people. And it's not that far away from ChatGPT when it comes to the first million customers. It took them 5 days. It took us 5 years. Same difference, small difference. But look, it's not our job also, right? I mean, our primary job is building a platform which can make selling insurance products easy. Our primary job is not to compete or build data products. But what I would say is that in many ways, the data products that we built actually helped us in our tremendous growth. So I'll just take one example. And this is what I call as, this is LeadMate. And LeadMate is basically a product which helps us understand the needs of our leads who come into our system much better so that we can connect them to the right brokers. In the end, I would always say that sales is a process of trust, right? Whether you can convert a lead or not depends on whether that person trusts you to provide them the right information, trust that you have the right expertise to provide them the right advice, and trust that you have the benevolence or the goodwill to actually offer them product that they actually want. So in the end, sales is all about modeling. If you're really modeling sales with an AI, it's all about modeling trust. And it's not just about sales, right? Because in the end, most sales, especially insurance, is not a one-time sale. This is a repeated game, right? So if you're not able to model customer satisfaction, it's a one-time deal, and it doesn't work. So now, hopefully, I made a case of why every company should start looking at data products. Now here, I don't think in this present stage and world, nobody's going to argue that data is not important, right? So we're here, so I guess at least here nobody's going to challenge it, I'm hoping. But look, that's not the problem, right? The real problem why most companies have struggles with data is because you have this two-pronged approach to data. You have to create value in the near term, as Sean has mentioned it, and as Alex and Clemens mentioned it in their speeches. The time to say that, okay, I'm going to put 100 people in a room and wait for 5 years before something good comes out of it is long gone. That's not there anymore, right? So you have to have data investments which provide value in real time, in near term, right? But at the same time, you also have to have a platform or a capability which provides for dramatic future growth. And this is a complicated problem to solve. It's a little bit like the good old statement which says that you can choose cheap, fast, or great. Choose two, right? You can't choose all three. Or since I came today in the Deutsche Bahn, I can say that it's a little bit like, in this case, trying to change the engine of a moving train. You still need to move forward as a company. You still need to sell your products. At the same time, you need to have a data engine which paves the way for a dramatic future growth. And that's pretty tough. And this is why most organizations struggle with creating dramatic value out of data, because you cannot choose only one. Now, hopefully, this makes you a little bit interested in saying, okay, data products, sounds interesting, thank you. I want to go and create data products, right? And then you want to tell your boss or your colleagues about why this is super important. And then they will ask you, but why should I really do it? Give me a business reason. And it cannot be that some random dude came to a conference and told you that data products are important, right? So here's a few numbers. I'm not going to call out all of them, but it can create new business use cases out of data almost 90% faster. You might ask me, where is this content coming from? Did I just make that up? No, there's an article. It's a Harvard Business Review article, and there's a link to it at the end of it, and you'll get the slides for that. But the reason why something dramatic like this happens is, again, just going back to the same story. You have either you start this whole thing with a focus on the near term, in this case, this is a grassroots approach, or a focus on the long term. In the near term, if your company is focused on the near term, usually happens with a lot of large companies, they start by saying that each business unit creates their own use cases with data, right? They build their own technologies, their own data models, and creates their own use cases. And what happens is that it's a little bit like creating this massive overpass, right? So you create this point A to B, and then so is some other business unit somewhere else, and then in the end, you're trying to connect everything together, and that becomes a problem. It's okay to build a point A to point B system, but now you need to start doing a C, a D, an E, and an F, and that becomes really challenging. On the other side, you think about really a big bang approach, right? You're building for the long term. This works most of the time, but the challenge again is that you need to wait a long time, and once you reach there, you realize that, look, I build all these things, but sometimes I don't even consider what use cases where I will use it for, right? And then you still need to adapt for it. So how do you solve it? In a way, you're really thinking about, what you're really trying to do here is to look at from one side and say, how can I create Lego blocks of data products from it so that it can serve my use cases? And one thing that I can tell you is that it doesn't change too much when it comes to the platform. As mentioned here by many people, right? Platform is not the problem. Mindset is the problem, right? You can see that on the left side, nothing much has changed. So this is the pre, the right side is the post. You can see that it has not changed much on the left side, right? It need not be this. It could be a data mesh, as Clement said. It could be a centralized model, a decentralized model. Doesn't matter. Whatever you have there is good enough. It doesn't change too much on the right side. Your use cases still remains the same. What you're trying to do really here is to go from this place where you have all these things, where you have use case specific technologies, to a place you have data products. And are these the data products, the right data products for you? You have to decide, right? But they're usually good places to start from. And then you have something called as the usage archetypes, which is pretty common for most companies. In fact, there's only 5 usage archetypes that you use for your data products. The first one is digital apps. You have an app, web, phone, doesn't matter, and you need data to provide real-time insights to it. You have reporting systems like BI. You have AI models. You have discovery sandboxes, or your external sharing. Now, I could argue that most of your data use cases would fit one or more of those archetypes. It will be very difficult for you, and I'm happy to be corrected. It'll be very difficult to find a usage archetype which does not fit one of those things. So if you actually just go back and fill in all those things, prioritize your use cases, you'll automatically find your data products.
Boric Data Masterclass, where great data journeys begin.